I put all three forms of C sharp minor there just to help the students get used to the B sharps and everything. And I guess it's some kind of joke that it switches to D flat major after that. So it's an inharmonic parallel modulation, but that'll get them used to reading both keys. Now there is one errata place, and that's measure 42. And I wrote that on your handout on page 4. And so the last three notes of that measure should be F, G flat, G natural, because it just doesn't sound right the other way. And I just go with logic. If it doesn't sound right, I change it. You know, I know it gets, you know, splitting hairs and so, oh, it's got to be this way. But I just go with, it didn't sound right the other way, so I switched it. And so we'll make sure that's posted on the TMEA website. And there are a few spots in there where if you don't have the festival model buffet, where you have the extra key, you're going to need to do what you call organ fingering, which is like on an organ, you know, you push a note, take your finger off, the sound dies. So if you want that note to keep sounding, you re-finger it. And so at the end of measure 1, that C sharp is on the left. Measure 2, the next C sharp, same note, but it's on the right. Just so that'll facilitate getting to the B sharp and the D sharp. Same thing down there, measure 47, the G flat on the end. You can do the G flat on the left, and then slide the F on the left if you want to. Or you can do the A flat on the right and the G flat on the right, and then slide to the F on the left. The choice is up to the students, you know, whatever works best for them. Now, on the double dotted eighth notes, on your handout, I put in the subdivision just to make sure they have a difference between that and the dotted eighth note. And, you know, they can tongue all 7 of those 30-second notes to really feel it and then move to the A. The other thing, there are probably 2 ways to interpret the grace notes. Since it's a slow etude, in measure 2, I wrote the grace notes out as a triplet. You know, you could double dot the quarter and make them 30-second notes if you want. But again, since it's a slow etude, I think that the ornament should be a little bit on the slow side. And are there any questions on this one before we go to the next etude? Okay.
I'm so jealous right now. The first one, I think I can.
Now this one has a cut. And the website where you post the etudes is not the most user-friendly way to post all this information. And so the word to, T-O, is just defaulted in there. And so it doesn't seem like it's real clear. But basically what you do is you play from the very beginning through measure 35, and then you cut over to measure 89 to the end. The rest of the etude is great. It's fun. It's just a time issue. So that's why I put the cut in, because it's a 2-page etude. And it's a real logical cut because measure 36 and 89 are identical. So you don't need to do a big pause or anything, just dive right into it. that scale, but I put it in there anyway. It's also good, I wrote in that you can practice this etude slurred for especially the 16th note passages to make sure your air steady, your fingers are real even. And then as you get it faster, you can add in the articulation. Now, you have some, bigger intervals, like measure 3, for example, and so the way I do that, I just, raise the soft palate very quickly for the upper notes, like in the register slur kind of idea, and that'll help facilitate, the wider leaps. It's really not hard to do that on clarinet. There's a few spots where I'm using the side key flat, just because I think it makes it a little easier. For example, in measure 95, the next to last note here, I'm using this fingering for the B flat. Some people use this fingering, and that's fine. My thumb gets mixed up, because it just has to do so much work there getting back to the C. And so that's why I'm using the side key B flat, and then you have time when you do the low C to get your hand back in position for the B after it. Now, the measure 98 where it says fastoso, I thought, wow, does that mean fast? No, it means pompous. If you look in the glossary that David Hyde put in the back, and so I thought, okay, so I'm not going to speed up there, but down there at 111, then, yeah, speed it up. It says twice, with fervor, measure 111. That's actually a misprint. It says fervor or something like that, but it should be a V, not a C. So that's with fervor. So I took that to mean, maybe a little faster. And then 116, you can really pick up the pace there. So that's why the articulation is different in 111 compared to 89. So you have an extra slur in 111, 112, and that's because of the faster tempo. I did forget to mention on the slow etude, there are a couple of spots I'm half holding, measure 13, to facilitate, the register leap from the clarion register to the altissimo, just to smooth out that slur a little bit, so I'm half holding there. Now, on the last page of your handout, page 6, I put some tried and true practice tips that I use for my college students, or high school, or middle school. Always warm up, like a slow warm up, register slurs, long tones or something. Learn your scales. Practice slowly and then gradually increase the tempo. These are all just very logical things I'm sure everyone's doing, but sometimes it helps if the students can, see it in writing. And sometimes, even if you make a mistake, you want to keep going. And then later on go back and rework that section slower to make sure you don't have a mistake and go through it again. Just so you're not in the habit of stopping if you make a mistake or saying something, because you can't do that in the tryout room. Okay, so if you have any questions at all, I'd be happy to answer those. Are there any more handouts? I have a lot more for the afternoon. Oh, okay. You have more back there. And anybody that didn't receive one and wants one, you can email me. My email address is right on the first page there. And if you don't have a handout, it's nancy.kingsanders@pauk.edu. If once you have your students start working on these etudes, if there happens to be a question or a no question or a rhythm or something, please feel free to email me about that, because I'll be happy to look at it and figure it out. Sometimes, Southern prints a new edition and they correct something, but they don't say it's a new edition. And so you don't know it's already been corrected or corrected the wrong way. So sometimes stuff comes up like that. Okay, well, I appreciate everyone.